If you are arranging to fly into the United States in 2026, or if you have a journey scheduled in the upcoming few weeks or months, there is something you absolutely must grasp before you ever get on that aircraft. The airport experience for international travelers has evolved dramatically, and I am not referencing longer queues or revised terminal designs. I am referencing what U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the agency everybody identifies as CBP, is actually examining when you show up. Novel technology, novel policies, widened authority, and a vastly different enforcement landscape mean that the process of entering the United States is more meticulous, more data-focused, and in certain instances more demanding than it has ever been. Whether you are a first-time visitor, a returning green card holder, a student on an F1 visa, a skilled worker on an H-1B, or even a U.S. citizen returning home from overseas, this information is relevant to you. So remain right here because by the finish of this video, you will grasp precisely what to anticipate at the airport, how to ready yourself, and how to defend yourself and your immigration status every step of the process. Welcome to US Updates Hub. Let us jump right in. Let us open with some background because comprehending why things have evolved helps you comprehend what you are stepping into. For decades, the core framework of arriving in the United States was fairly predictable. You touched down, you entered the line, a CBP officer reviewed your passport and visa, posed a handful of questions, stamped your documents, and you were on your way. That process still persists in its core form, but placed on top of it now is a far more refined and honestly far more rigorous inspection system. And in 2026, several of the developments that had been accumulating for years have come into complete effect simultaneously. The outcome is something travelers must appreciate before they travel, not after they arrive. The first significant change you must be aware of is biometrics, and this one is colossal. As of December 26, 2025, a final rule released by the Department of Homeland Security took effect requiring biometric data gathering, specifically facial recognition photography, from all non-U.S. citizens entering and leaving the United States at air, land, and seaports of entry. That covers green card holders. That covers visa holders of every type. That covers visa waiver program travelers who previously might have proceeded through with minimal contact. This rule, released by DHS and carried out by CBP, extends what was already an expanding program called the Biometric Entry-Exit System. What this indicates in reality is that when you walk up to a CBP inspection booth or move through a contemporary processing lane at an international airport, your face is being captured and matched in real time against the government's collection of passport photos, visa photos, and immigration application images. CBP terms this its Simplified Arrival program, and the agency presents it as a means to swiftly confirm identity, identify document fraud, and monitor visa overstays. For most travelers with uncomplicated, spotless records and accurately matched documents, this process takes place almost seamlessly and rapidly. But if there is an inconsistency, if your face does not align with the photo on file, or if your biometric profile activates something in a database, that is when things slow down. Now, here is something essential that U.S. citizens must be aware of specifically. You are not compelled to participate in the facial recognition process. U.S. citizens can opt out of the biometric program and undergo a manual inspection instead. Nevertheless, the signage alerting you of that right has not always been visibly posted, and some travelers have reported being advised incorrectly that they cannot board without agreeing to biometrics. If you are a U.S. citizen and you prefer to opt out, you hold that right. Declare it clearly and steadily. For non-citizens, the reality is different. Participation is effectively compulsory as part of the admissions process, and refusal can complicate your entry substantially. Photos of non-citizens are forwarded to DHS's Central Biometric Database, where records can be maintained for up to 75 years. That is not a trivial detail. It means that every international trip you make to the United States adds to a long-term biometric record connected to your identity. There is also a development unfolding concurrently around social media and digital information. CBP has proposed widening the ESTA application, the electronic system for travel authorization utilized by visa waiver program countries to incorporate social media usernames and former phone numbers from the prior 5 years. Those proposed 2026 expansions would include social media usernames and former phone numbers, a vetting step the government frames as part of its anti-fraud campaign. This is still in the proposal phase as of this recording, but the direction is crystal clear. The government is progressively interested in your digital presence, not solely your paper documents. If you are traveling on a visa waiver, it is worthwhile tracking updates on STA requirements directly through the CBP and DHS official websites, because what holds today may widen before your subsequent trip. Now let us examine what actually takes place when you arrive. Upon reaching the United States, all travelers are generally obligated to present themselves for inspection at the port of entry's primary arrival zone, commonly known as primary inspection. At primary, CBP officers generally examine all travelers seeking entry to verify their identity, their citizenship, their qualification to enter the United States, whether any merchandise in their possession or control is restricted or subject to duty, and to discover violations of law that CBP enforces or manages. In concrete terms, this is the instant you appear before a CBP officer or proceed through an automated kiosk. You will display your passport, address a few questions about your trip and your reason for visiting, and in most instances, you will be approved and on your way in a matter of minutes. For most travelers, this is still the total experience, but here's where things have truly heightened in 2026. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers have heightened airport questioning and examinations in early 2026, funneling more travelers into secondary screenings. Secondary inspection is the supplementary screening space you are sent to if the primary officer has any inquiries or markers that demand more time to resolve. Being sent to secondary does not automatically signify you are in jeopardy. Some reasons that a traveler may be directed for secondary inspection include problems with documentation or information furnished by the traveler, potential administrative immigration violations, questions regarding potential civil or criminal law violations, random screening, or if officers at primary inspection conclude at their judgment that additional inspection is required. That closing point is critical. Officers wield broad discretion. Random selection is a legitimate reality. Even travelers with pristine records can wind up in secondary from time to time. What unfolds in secondary inspection is crucial to grasp. During secondary, CBP officers may ask thorough questions about your travel, your home, or your past. They can review your record in government databases, collect your fingerprints, and capture your photograph. They also wield the authority to search your electronic devices. Sometimes that means merely browsing through your phone. In more severe instances, they may deploy forensic instruments. And yes, they can keep your devices for up to 5 days, sometimes longer, if they conclude further review is required. The device search element is something many travelers are startled by. So let me be extremely candid about it. CBP performed border searches of the electronic devices of 5,318 travelers in FY 2025, representing approximately 0.47% of secondary inspections and less than 0.01% of all arriving international travelers encountered at ports of entry. So, from a statistical standpoint, the overwhelming majority of individuals never have their phone or laptop scrutinized. But if you are sent to secondary, that prospect exists. Of the border searches of electronic devices, 92% were basic searches in which the devices were not linked to external equipment. A basic search means an officer manually examining what is visible on your screen. An advanced or forensic search involves linking your device to specialized equipment to extract and investigate data more thoroughly, and that demands supervisory clearance. For visa holders specifically, the implications around cooperation are substantial. CBP may examine your phone, laptop, and even cloud-connected apps for emails, texts, and social media messages. Officers routinely check deleted content, WhatsApp conversations, and banking transactions to confirm payroll. If you are on a work visa, officers may be verifying to establish that your actual employment corresponds with what your visa petition outlines. A gap between what you declare and what your documents or digital records demonstrate can produce serious difficulties, even if it is an unintentional oversight. This is why readiness matters so enormously before you travel. So, what should you actually do to ready yourself? Let me guide you through some practical measures. First, confirm all your documents are thoroughly in order before you head for the airport. That means your passport should be valid. As a standard guideline, many countries and airlines insist on at least 6 months of validity remaining past your travel dates. If you are a green card holder, confirm your card is current. If it has expired but you have a pending I-751 receipt, carry that receipt with your expired card as USCIS guidance authorizes this combination as valid proof of status for re-entry, and print out that policy in writing to display to airlines and officers if necessary. If you are on a work visa, carry your I-797 approval notice, recent pay stubs, a letter from your employer, and any other documentation that validates your role and your status are aligned. If you are a student, have your I-20 or DS 2019 prepared along with your university enrollment confirmation and your DSO's contact information, including an after-hours emergency number. Second, deliberate thoughtfully about your electronic devices before you travel. You do not need to show up at the airport in distress about your phone, but it is wise to reflect on what is stored on it. Consider signing out of apps that hold sensitive professional or personal information. If you wish to reduce exposure during a potential search, if you travel routinely internationally for professional objectives, some travelers and legal consultants advise utilizing a dedicated travel device with limited personal data. If your device is searched, request a property receipt, which is CBP Form 6051D, and record the officer's name and badge number. Ensure the device is in airplane mode so they cannot reach cloud accounts remotely. Those precautions can produce a meaningful difference if you need to follow up subsequently. Third, grasp what to say and what not to say when you are interacting with a CBP officer. This is not about being secretive. It is about being clear, honest, and collected. Address the questions you are posed directly and briefly. If questioned about your reason for travel, deliver an honest, direct response. If questioned about your employment or your intentions in the United States, deliver responses that are aligned with your visa category. Do not offer unnecessary information, but never deceive or misrepresent anything to a federal officer. The repercussions of misrepresentation at the border are harsh and permanent. One further note, marijuana and other cannabis products that may be lawful in some U.S. states are still banned under federal law. Since all U.S. ports of entry function under federal jurisdiction, possessing cannabis or conceding recent use can result in serious difficulties, including denial of entry. Fourth, if you are a green card holder, acknowledge that your rights at the border are significant but not unconditional. You cannot be refused re-entry without formal removal proceedings, but you can be held and questioned. And in grave circumstances, such as prolonged absences abroad that prompt questions about abandonment of residency, CBP may voice concerns about your status. One issue to be especially vigilant about during secondary inspection: there is a possibility that you could be given Form I-407, the record of abandonment of lawful permanent resident status. Signing this form means declaring to the government that you are willingly surrendering your green card. Do not sign any form you do not fully understand, and do not sign under duress without asking for legal counsel first. You hold the right to request to reach an attorney, even if CBP is not required to grant that access during initial inspection. Make the request officially noted. Now let me touch on something that has been sparking discussion in 2026. There have been accounts of amplified enforcement and a visible rise in secondary inspections, particularly impacting certain nationalities and travelers with even slight historical immigration concerns. The tendency mirrors a wider enforcement evolution after executive actions in large CBP and ICE authority, facilitating what officials and advocates portray as approaches with visa cancellations or green card disputes executed at the point of entry for suspected infractions, including previous ones. This is a legitimate transformation in the enforcement landscape, and while it should not trigger alarm for the vast majority of travelers who maintain spotless records and correct documentation, it does indicate that readiness is more vital than ever. If you have any earlier immigration concerns, an old overstay, a previous removal, an outstanding administrative matter, speak with a qualified immigration attorney before you travel. The airport is not the setting to be tackling those matters for the first time. There is also something valuable to know for travelers leaving from certain international destinations. CBP runs pre-clearance facilities at 16 airports across the globe in Canada, Ireland, Aruba, Bermuda, the Bahamas, and the United Arab Emirates. With pre-clearance, travelers skip CBP and TSA inspections upon U.S. arrival and advance directly to their connecting flight or final point. As recently as March 10, 2026, Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport introduced a new pre-clearance facility, granting travelers leaving from there the capacity to finish the complete CBP process before they even step onto their aircraft. If you are leaving from a pre-clearance airport, the inspection experience occurs overseas, but all the same regulations hold. Same biometrics, same questions, same prospect for secondary review. There is also a more recent advancement in baggage screening worth knowing about. CBP's International Remote Baggage Screening Program enables passengers reaching the U.S. from foreign airports to proceed to their connecting flights without the requirement to recheck their bags unless expressly directed by CBP for additional inspection. CBP staff can now access the same checked baggage X-ray images obtained at the foreign international airport and examine them remotely before the aircraft arrives. This is actually intended to make transfers smoother, but it also signifies CBP's attention on your luggage starts before you even set foot on U.S. territory. For travelers who navigate airports regularly, it is worthwhile investigating CBP's trusted traveler programs. Global Entry, Nexus, and Sentry all deliver expedited processing for pre-approved low-risk travelers. Global Entry specifically enables U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, and some foreign nationals to employ dedicated automated kiosks that markedly diminish wait times and engagement at primary inspection. The application necessitates a background check and an in-person interview, but for regular travelers, it is truly worthwhile. You can find details and apply directly through the CBP official website. CBP additionally provides the Mobile Passport Control app, which is free for both Apple and Android devices and can help cut wait times, especially for families and bigger groups. Now, before I finish, I want to offer you a moment to simply pause and breathe. If this video has caused you to feel like flying into the United States has become a trial, that is not the entire picture. Nearly 1 million times each day, CBP officers receive international travelers into the U.S., and CBP utilizes a range of methods to guarantee that global tourism continues safe and thriving. The vast majority of travelers clear primary inspection in a matter of minutes without any issue. The information we have explored today is valuable precisely because it enables you to be one of those individuals, methodical, prepared, honest, and articulate. CBP officers are not hunting for reasons to detain you. They are hunting to authenticate who you are and validate that your travel is consistent with your documentation. Furnish them that validation confidently and steadily, and you will be on your way. Before I depart, a short and vital reminder. Immigration policy in the United States can and does shift sometimes swiftly. Everything communicated in this video is based on information accessible as of April 16th, 2026. Sourced from CBP, DHS, and USCIS official materials, and coverage from reliable outlets. But policies, procedures, and enforcement priorities can evolve. Please always authenticate your specific situation with official sources. CBP at cbp.gov, USCIS at uscis.gov, and DHS at dhs.gov. And if you have intricate immigration circumstances, please engage a qualified immigration attorney before you travel. Nothing in this video is legal advice, and nothing here supplants professional guidance customized to your specific case. If this video enabled you to feel more knowledgeable and more equipped, please give it a like. It enables more people to locate this information when they require it most. Share it with a friend or relative who has a trip approaching, so you never miss an update on the policies and developments that influence your life and your journey. And review the video description below, where you will locate links to official CBP guidance, the Mobile Passport Control app, details on global entry enrollment, and more. We will be right here every time the regulations evolve or a new advancement surfaces that you must be aware of. Safe travels, stay informed, and look after yourselves. We will see you in the upcoming one.